CDS. You dudes have CDS. Canelo Derangement Syndrome is what it's called. Canelo Derangement Syndrome. Y'all react to every little thing he says and does, and it's hilarious. Let me ask you content creators out there who are running with this comment and taking it to places it doesn't need to go because you hate Canelo, you're a Canelo detractor, you're a Canelo hater, and you move on every little thing he does and says. This comment Canelo made about not fighting a Mexican national, not fighting Zurdo because he's a Mexican national, he's cheering for a Mexican fighter. Did you take that literally? And what I mean by that is let's theorize. Let's say that Zurdo defeats Bivol and then calls out Canelo. Do we really believe in our heart of hearts? Be honest. Be honest in the comment section. Be honest here. This is a heart-to-heart here. Do you really believe that Canelo would say, no, I'm not fighting Zurdo because he's a Mexican national? Do you really believe that? Does track record show us that? Do you think he would duck Zurdo? Do you think if Jaime Munguia moved up to 168 and went on a run at 168, that Canelo would then duck Munguia? Just because they're Mexican nationals. And for the people out there saying, see, I told you so, he hasn't fought a Mexican in 5 years. Chavez Jr. was the last Mexican fighter he's fought. He's been ducking. Now add to the list, he's been ducking Mexican nationals. So I have to ask, in turn, who are these Mexican nationals that Canelo's been ducking the past 5 years? Who are they? Where are they? And you're not going to be able to name any because there aren't any. There aren't any. He's not in the lower weight class. He's in the upper weight class. There aren't Mexican nationals there. Besides 160, 168, 175, the only top 10 Mexican nationals there besides Canelo are Jaime Munguia at 160, Zurdo Ramirez at 175. Slim pickings. So I just love what you dudes do when it comes to Canelo, and this is why I say Canelo Derangement Syndrome, and y'all have it, is for years it's been always ducking 160 Charlo. 160 Charlo hasn't fought in 14 months. Fell off the face of the planet. I have no idea where he went. I have no idea what weight class he's supposed to be campaigning in, but he's waiting for Canelo's stimulus check to fall in his lap. So if we apply the same logic to Charlo, y'all are not going to do that. Because the fighters you're claiming that Canelo's ducking are the ones that Charlo's actually ducking. Boo Boo Andre the same. What's Boo Boo Andre been doing? What's David Benavidez been doing? David Benavidez, and y'all are trying to apply this Mexican national logic to David Benavidez when David Benavidez is not a Mexican national. He's Mexican American. Born and raised in Phoenix, and I believe he trains in Seattle, Washington. So stop trying to bring David Benavidez in here and stop trying to use this as tools to go after Canelo. It doesn't add up. Anybody can see through this. David Benavidez is not a Mexican national. Canelo has never said that he wouldn't fight David Benavidez. And David Benavidez has David Benavidez to blame for not landing the Canelo fight up to this point. David Benavidez dropped a $10 million bag on the scale by missing weight. Caleb Plant came and vacuumed it up and used that as leverage for the undisputed fight, the final belt, and he used that as leverage to get $10 million. And that could have been David Benavidez's $10 million, but instead it was Caleb Plant's. And David Benavidez has David Benavidez to blame for that. He's the one who dropped the bag on the scale. He needs to look in the mirror if he wants to see who's to blame for him not landing the Canelo shot. But the reason I bring this all up is it's always something. Every single fight. Every single fight. And look, I've said it often on this channel. The good thing about Canelo is if he's not fighting the guy you want him to fight next, he'll fight again a couple months after that, He loses to Dimitri Bivol and announces a pay-per-view fight with Gennady Golovkin 17 days later. So the good thing about this is no matter what happens in the Golovkin fight in September, there'll be an announcement in October, likely, of who Canelo's going to fight next or who's on the short list and when he's going to fight next. That's the great thing about Canelo as opposed to every other fighter out there. And I know people are going to call me a Canelo lover again. I get it. But you dudes have Canelo Derangement Syndrome, CDS. If Zerto were to upset Bivol, Canelo would change his tune and make a 180 immediately if Zerto were to call out Canelo after that. And you better believe that. And track record shows us that. And as to this comment, it's not meant to be taken literally because Canelo, this is politics talk. This is Canelo speaking to his base and saying, yeah, I'm cheering for the Mexican national here, and I'm not going to fight another Mexican fighter. I want the Bivol rematch. That's Canelo saying, yeah, wink, wink. I'm cheering for Zerto. I want Zerto to win this fight, even though he knows that Zerto's not going to beat Bivol. It would take a big upset for Zerto to beat Bivol. Zerto is a big underdog in this fight. He wants the Bivol rematch, is what he wants. But if Zerto pulls off this upset, watch the change of energy. If Zerto wins his fight and calls out Canelo, it's going to be like that. He's going to turn on that switch like that. And track record proves this to us. But you dudes with the clickbait, you need to relax, take a breather, go out and get some sun. Be happy. You're always angry when it comes to Canelo. Relax. Relax. We know you hate him, but relax.